Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for August 26th through 29th, 2022. Well, today we are feeling the energy of tomorrow's early, in just about 12 hours from this live, the new moon in Virgo. It's a new start with the new moon energies, a big shift of energy with the sun moving over into Virgo the last couple of days, and now coming into this new moon. So Virgo is an energy of earth energy. It's also a mutable sign, so it's about adjusting. It's about cleaning up and organizing and getting grounded. This is a great energy for us right now. So we're coming off that crazy Lionsgate portal and a super activating time of Uranus together with the North Node in Taurus. And the messages about this Uranus North Node, of course, that puts Uranus opposite of the South Node. They're still just a degree away from each other. And so for this last month, we've been feeling this massive activation. And of course, when Mars went over, Mars, Uranus, and the North Node, the messages around this, we're activating a new timeline. And the timeline has to do with higher frequency vibrations and embodying those energies. And so that's exactly what's been happening. Feels just like massive upgrades. So we've been feeling that. And now Uranus has just turned retrograde. And so that is kind of putting the brakes on a little bit, saying, okay, now we adjust. Now we have to hold back. Now it's a holding pattern. Now we got to get grounded out after this big activation. Because Uranus turning retrograde is meaning that it's going to put it closer to Saturn in Aquarius in square. So the Saturn-Uranus square for the last year and a half, 2 years, has been very activating in the energetic shifts and changes to physical form that can support us in building this new world and showing us what's also the old stuck patterns that are in the way of moving into this next phase of our reality, into the Aquarian age. Uranus, a ruler of Aquarius. So Uranus turning retrograde just a couple days ago, and that means all of our bigger planets are in retrograde. So it's this feeling of like, all right, hold on. We made it as far as we can go. Now we got to recapitulate, reorganize, rearrange, and figure out what we're doing. Now, very powerful to have all of the earth signs represented right now, Pluto and Capricorn, that Uranus and North Node in Taurus, and Mercury is at the very end degrees of Virgo, moving into Libra tomorrow, the next day, and the sun at the early degrees of Virgo. So with Earth trine energy, it's about stabilizing and grounding out, and really perfect timing for us in adjusting to these massive energetic changes. Now, we need to look at the bigger pattern of these next few months and this whole year of 2022, because Jupiter has just turned retrograde. And Jupiter retrograde means that Jupiter will be in October transiting back into the sign of Pisces, turning direct, and then will transit back into Aries for the third and final time over that Aries point, 0 degrees Aries. Huge marker. 0 degrees Aries is the point of the last shift of ages that happened and to about 2,000 years ago. And so it's speaking of the evolution and the timeline of Christ consciousness. So when Jupiter goes back over into Aries in December, that's a huge marker. And so it tells us that this time right now is preparation. It's not a time to push forward with things right now, because what just happened, well, Mercury is just about to move over into Libra, where his retrograde will begin. Mercury just went into retrograde shadow at 24 degrees Virgo. So check out if you've got planets and elements at the end degrees of Virgo, beginning degrees of Libra. This is going to be really affecting you. Now, this also means Mercury was just in a trine with Pluto. So that's going to be a factor in this retrograde at the very beginning of the retrograde energy and at the very end when Mercury turns direct. Mercury will turn direct on the 2nd of October. So this says that the next couple of months is about a preparation. It's not a time to push or try to make things happen. And for a lot of us, it's been such a wonky time where nothing is going as planned. It's like, wait, aren't we already in retrograde? Are we just in permanent retrograde? But this Mercury retrograde is going to be helpful because it is this massive opportunity for rearranging. Now, Mercury will be making that trine with Pluto during this retrograde season, but also coming into a square with Jupiter in Aries. So Mercury, when it moves into Libra, is going to turn retrograde at 8 degrees. That's right where Jupiter turned retrograde at 8 degrees Aries. So, these are in opposition to each other. So Mercury will be in opposition to Jupiter as it turns retrograde, and then when it comes out of retrograde shadow in mid-October. So we've got the energies of Mercury trining up with Pluto. This is harmonious support for breaking out of mind control patterns, to taking back our own reality, and breaking contractual arrangements that keeps us in mind control and programmed realities. Very, very helpful. Then as Mercury turns retrograde and comes out of retrograde shadow, that's when it will be in an opposition with Jupiter and Aries. So this is saying, what changes in our mind do we need in order to claim back our life force, which is the same energy as the Christ consciousness timeline? So very, very important concepts coming through with this Mercury retrograde. And I just wanted to bring forward that timing because now that Mercury is moving over into Libra on the 27th. And so just in a couple of days. And so we're really going to be kind of moving into that retrograde. I just want to have you be aware, because we know that Mercury retrograde often feels like, wait a minute, can't quite keep going the way we're going. We need to adjust. And especially since the retrograde will take Mercury back into its home sign of Virgo, a mutable sign, it's a lot of adjusting. But then going back into Libra, it's finding our way back to love. So very, very powerful. And so for this new moon energy that we're in right now, just coming up on this very powerful Virgo new moon, we've got some intense transits. So just a couple of days ago, the sun moved over into Virgo, and Mars moved over into the sign of Gemini. So those just happened a couple of days apart, and this is a huge shift of energy. The sun catching up to the degrees of Mars and coming into a square. So over the last period of time where we had that Uranus North Node, we had, and the sun in all these planets in fixed signs, all the planets were making these fixed squares. But the sun and Mars didn't come into their square yet now until they both moved over to mutable signs. So it's telling us a lot about how to adjust to these energies, because mutable signs are about adjusting and changing and rearranging. So this is really powerful because we've got the sun and now the moon, because for a new moon, the sun and the moon come together. The sun and the moon together at 4 degrees Virgo. And that puts it in exact square with Mars at 4 degrees Gemini. So this mutable square. Now Mars, the warrior, action planet. And now in Taurus, it was activating this new timeline alignment. It was giving us the strength and courage to find our self-confidence, to be able to embody the higher frequency vibrations and move forward. Now Mars in Gemini is putting some pressure on, especially in the square. Mars, the warrior in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is a sign of leaders and those that are strong and brave enough to be able to speak the truth for the masses and to the masses. So Gemini is about expression. And Mars is the warrior, it's action. So it's about pushing us into expression. And this is everything for SuperNova Souls. Because we're realizing that SuperNova Souls is SuperNova Souls. There's one thing that's true about you, and it's like you got huge energy and you've been playing small. So Mars in Gemini, in square to the sun and the moon, is putting the pressure on for us to be who we really are. Because the sun is our identity. It's like, who do you think you are? You know, how do you see yourself? And the moon is our emotional state. So when the sun and the moon together come for a new moon, it's about how we feel about ourselves. It's about how that's why it's like a new start. It's like how we feel about who we are and what do we want to change to live more true. This has been everything that SuperNova Souls have been dealing with, right? Just realizing this all astrology for this last year. It's like, whoa, my life doesn't fit who I am. I've been living lies. I don't know who I am, but something's got to give. And this is the change we're at. This is the turning point. This is a powerful energy of this slow down, retreat, rearrange, because you got to be prepared to go in a whole new direction. And I'll tell you what, Jupiter in Aries is about bigger. Because Jupiter is always, it just expands whatever the energy it's near. It's just like a big crystal. And so in Aries, it's about life force and power and taking it back. So what do we need to do to be ready to claim this highest timeline? Now, that period of time when Jupiter goes after December 21st, Jupiter goes back into Aries, but then it won't be until the spring that Jupiter comes back out of shadow, back to 8 degrees. So that's going to be a real leap off and a really good time next spring for launch for supernova projects. So keep that in mind. It's like we're anchoring in, taking a leap, but we're not going to be able to really execute in the new energies until Jupiter gets out of retrograde shadow. So the spring of 2023, super activated. And finally, after years of stagnation and confusion, support in moving forward in real ways. Not the way you thought it was going to look, though, for the most part. And this is why we've been so confused. And so it's another reason why this time of rearranging and taking a break is so important to us. So let yourself do that. Really take advantage of this time. So the sun and the moon together for this new moon and in square to Mars, we're coming up with tension around ego constructs of who we thought we were. Mars is trying to activate SuperNova Souls back into the leaders that they are. But the sun and the moon together in Virgo is speaking to old identity constructs and emotional pain around where we were big in the past, but it didn't go our way, or our power was used against us. Perhaps we failed miserably. But it all comes down to this energy of being a leader in the past, where SuperNova Souls, we were naive to the level of evil on the earth and just trusted the wrong people and allowed our power to be used against us. And then we've been beating ourselves up ever since. So this sun, moon, Virgo is really bringing up old constructs of our ego constructs that are where we've been trapped in old patterns from past lives that haven't been resolved. So every lifetime we get a new personality to work with, we get a new role to play. It's like we have new clothes and a new path to walk. But when you're persecuted in a past life and say you weren't able to complete that mission or purpose, and maybe you were killed or whatever happened, thwarted in your purpose, oftentimes SuperNova Souls will try to go back into that old timeline, but it's a new lifetime, and it should, if they were killed or something. So it's like part of us is stuck in this old story we're trying to resolve, and yet we don't have that timeline or the mechanics or the timing or the support to be able to fulfill. And so we're trapped in these old stories of something we didn't do right, or that trusting the wrong person, giving our power away, beating ourselves up for it. It's that energy around this failure that really goes back to Atlantean time, that keeps us playing small. Now, that failure energy for supernova souls and whatever we went through and the persecution is going to be connected to your feminine, because it's our feminine side that's been playing small and that is so big as far as our intuitive gifts and our healing gifts. So this is the part of us that needs to be resuscitated, that needs to be saved from capture, that feminine queen that is so talented in these intuitive arts and healing, and yet hiding and covered in shame. So this is what this new moon is about, moving forward in a new way, in claiming and owning our true identity as a healer, being pushed out of the nest and back into expression of who we really are. But we're looking at what's in the way. And that is the energy of this square. So Mars, our masculine planet, in square with the sun and the moon. Now, Venus, our feminine planet, is in Leo. And this is about the empowered feminine, taking that dark, shadowy shame and distortion around being intuitive healer and bringing it back out into the light. So Venus is like calling the feminine back into empowerment and shining and showing herself. But Venus is in exact square to Uranus, not too far from the North Node for this new moon. So Venus and Leo trying to express, but in square to Uranus, it's about our worthiness for that light and for these gifts and treasures. It's saying that timeline alignment, the new timelines, the optimal timelines we're dealing with, must have an empowered feminine. Those badass queens we've been talking about rising again. But with the masculine, with Mars and Venus both in squares, the message is like, can't do it without the masculine either. And so there's this energy of the masculine figuring out, remembering who he is with this identity crisis, falling back in love with the feminine. This is within ourselves, right? And in society and our roles at large. But when that masculine falls back in love with the feminine and wants to care and protect and nurture the energy available, that creative energy, that creates a safe container. And then the feminine can relax and release and receive. This is what we haven't been able to do within us. And all of this astrology is speaking about making these changes, whatever it is. And that's what we're doing right now. We're in standstill. We're rearranging. We're finding a new way. We're figuring out what needs to go. Virgo is a time for cleaning and organizing. And this is ripe opportunity for on all levels of our life to get cleaned up and organized. A huge energy for grounding out in a way. In these new energies, you might find that all of a sudden you might go from this crazy feeling of like being whacked out on all these energy levels, and then all of a sudden finding an energetic and emotional stability that you can't even remember having had before. That's what's available for us now. So be present with what's happening, because it's all about landing. Right? Huge messages about this time of rearranging. And it's really, we're stuck in between because we know there's a new timeline, but we have to go through these changes, and it's retrograde, you know. But Mercury retrograde, Libra, Virgo, Libra, we got to clean up our acts so we can get back to love, to get back to that divine balance of the masculine and feminine within. And to begin to live and work and breathe in these energies. We can't do it if we're not able to receive and be connected to the mother, to feel safe and loved and held in this experience. If we don't feel held and safe, how can we ever receive our own abundance, which is what we are here to share with the world and demonstrate? So we're stuck. And this is exactly this intense Black Moon Lilith square Chiron. So this is the main energy backdrop that has been going on we've been feeling it pretty strongly for the last week or so. And this energy is going to peak out of the Black Moon Lilith in Cancer, Chiron and Aries. These are cardinal signs. So this square is about starting something new. And we got to get out of those dark, shadowy places of the subconscious. Black Moon Lilith is the deepest, darkest hidden secrets, suppressed emotions, and shame. And so Black Moon Lilith getting so activated right now is forcing us into these places that are not pretty. And it's deep, dark, suppressed emotions and energies that you didn't even know you had. And when they've been so repressed down on that level, when they start to arise, they're scary as F, right? I mean, it's like, how could that even have been in my closet? And how can I even face that this is a true feeling for me? And of course, a lot of this is programming, but we've got to be present in order to sort out what's real for us and what's not real for us. But basically, there's a whole bunch of dark stories from your past that is where you took on the blame of everybody else's, the dark side. You know, the forces that have been interfering with evolution, and they play the role of trying to block spiritual ascension. And you have been trying to bring spiritual ascension. And so those energies are that's what's really going on with the shame and the dark feelings and the low self-worth and everything. And those are lies and distortions. So we can use this time to find the strength through this Black Moon Lilith square with Chiron to go to those deepest, darkest, scary places we've been running from. And I have to tell you this, Black Moon Lilith in Cancer means they feel alone, unloved, abandoned, and left behind. Wherever these emotions or whatever dynamic has been hidden in your psyche, because Black Moon Lilith is in Cancer. And it's all speaking to healing and cleaning this up so we can come back into receiving our own abundance, feeling worthy. Beautiful energy today came forward in this new moon activation. Maybe you'd like to go catch the replay. A turning point for SuperNova Souls, especially those of us who have been earth healers, or this is like spiritual healer leaders in past lives. And that's pretty much all SuperNova Souls. But it's an invitation to claim back and reconnect with some energies of medicine you were working with. And this is on all levels, but, you know, connected with nature, rocks and plants and trees and animals and birds and bees and snakes, whatever substance. As the type of soul that you are, you have had lifetimes where you've had this beautiful direct connection with what we call allies, these substances. And this really came forward in the activation today of like clearing what we need to clear to receive back this medicine and remembering on a cellular level how strong and confident we felt. And that this medicine never goes away. Just like you and who you are as a leader, you can't just walk away from that. And like once you're a leader, you've already, it's who you are. It's a part of you. It wants to be expressed. I know it's scary. But the same thing with this medicine. Once you've attained these allies, these supportive forces that you've worked with in past lives, it's always available for you. But you forgot you had it. Because this whole thing of natural healing and earth and nature was demonized. And you were demonized. So this is this Black Moon Lilith square Chiron. We got to get ourselves out of that energy and claim back our power. So this activation was so cool. It was a healing for feeling responsible to other souls, always something that comes up when you've been a leader, and energies around deserving and feeling into that strength and confidence, and an energetic reset, a timeline reset back to that strength and confidence, and working with these allies, reconnecting as a way to step back into your abundance. It's an absolute turning point that perhaps you can learn to receive the support that you want to see in your life for the work you want to do by receiving this medicine back. And in that, you're finding that strength and confidence. You're also healing that shame. And you feel held and loved. When you're working with energies of the elements, you feel like you're working on a project. And it's almost like that seems to be the message we got was this is the ticket back to your soul tribe, to who you really are, to the life you know so much more is here for you. And this is a massive opportunity for a turning point to just say yes to reacquainting yourself with this medicine. And then that medicine can walk you back to your highest guidance and walk you back to your community and walk you back to your soul tribe and walk you back into your confidence and remembering who you are as this big, powerful being that's been hiding out playing small. So really, really powerful energies. And now Venus coming into that square with Uranus, that's for this new moon. And then just a couple of days after the new moon, in a couple of days, Venus will be in an opposition with Saturn and Aquarius, Venus and Leo. So Venus is linking up this Saturn square Uranus, which is about massive energetic upgrades we need to embody, but do we deserve them? And can we receive them? And can we heal that shame of Atlantean time? So Saturn square Uranus is going to be a fundamental part of this retrograde season we were talking about. Saturn square Uranus is exact actually for the first 2 weeks of October. That's right when Mercury comes out of retrograde, but will still be in retrograde shadow. And Mercury will come out of retrograde shadow October 17th. And so that's going to be an intense squeeze of like quick rearranging of what needs to happen on a physical level, mental level, psychological level, emotional level to get us on this new timeline. It's all about that. So just remember that right now, because the retrograde energy is going to feel really stuck and be like, what am I doing? Where am I going? The same issues. We've got Sun, Moon, square, Mars, pressure to express who you are, and yet feeling absolutely lost in who you are and what your message is. And so we're uncovering. And it's very, very powerful time, and you don't want to miss it. Even though it's going to feel stuck and slow, it's a time to recapitulate and be ready for what's coming. And once October hits, it's going to be a snowball of activity that's been kind of pent up. And so it will be, I feel that this fall will be the first time that we really start to see fundamental structural changes in our lives that represent the higher frequency vibrations we've been embodying. It's happening a little bit. But this Saturn square Uranus is a very powerful trigger. Now, these planets are going to be 2 degrees within square all the way from today or tomorrow, this new moon, the 27th of August, all the way through almost the middle of November. So there's our timeline. And there's going to be, and then we're going to really start seeing what it's all about after Mercury comes out of retrograde shadow in the middle of October, not October 17th. And then, so it's just a very, very powerful activated late fall and into that solstice, or in the Northern Hemisphere, and then that December solstice. Being ready to make that leap. You want to be ready. You want to let go. You want to clean it up. You want to sort through it. You want to be present with these energies. It's not pretty, Black Moon Lilith square Chiron is like, whoa. The deepest, darkest places in our psyche that we're talking about, but it's all about learning to receive. And how cool to have that activation experience where it's an invitation to receive back your own medicine. First to heal you, and then to put back in your heart, to carry with you. And know that you're not alone here. You've been working together with the earth and the nature and these alchemical energies every single lifetime. How dare you feel disconnected? I mean, I know that's just how we feel, right? But as you come back into this, it's like, wow. These things are established for you to grab a hold of and use as a roadmap to help through this difficult time. And everything is just about learning to receive our own abundance, which is the pressure to come into our full expression and the pressure to empower our feminine, come out of hiding with those Mars and Venus squares. Really, really powerful time. And so this, when Venus, as Venus, for these next few days, as Venus makes this square with Uranus, we got this new moon, and we've got Venus coming into opposition with Saturn. We're going to get a glimpse of what October's about. It's like we're going to get a vision of what it is we're really going to be working on in this big next chapter of recapitulation and healing. Pay close attention and recognize these feelings coming up, and maybe entertain the idea that you've been running from this place in order to survive for lifetimes. But now you can't do it anymore because you can never receive back your medicine in abundance while you're harboring this deep, weird distortion and shame and low self-worth or whatever's in there. SuperNova Souls have a tendency to really beat themselves up. And I know I've been there, and I've gotten in this place. This is definitely part of the energy of this square. And Venus coming into this T-square with Uranus and Saturn, a fixed T-square. This feeling of frustration around our insecurities and wanting to find that confidence to be in our full expression. We have a tendency, SuperNova Souls, to kind of, when we feel the reaction of our energy on other people, to just subconsciously turn our energy down. But it's getting harder and harder to do. So this big change and this big shift has to do with our feminine, has to do with the feminine empowerment, and it has to do with cleaning up all of the programming around being a healer, an intuitive earth healer. And really, just in a nutshell, going back to the stories of Atlantean catastrophes, where we were blamed, and they told us it was our power that created those catastrophes. But once again, it was the misuse of our power by others. But we allowed it to happen, but we can't carry the shame anymore because we'll never, ever get back up on our feet. So Saturn square Uranus is really about getting out of that Atlantean catastrophe story timeline, which is really cool. What would it be like to walk forward without fear and trauma programming? It's the only thing that keeps us playing small. These last few years for SuperNova Souls have been like reaching to new heights, clearing stuff, getting to these new places, and then boom, knocked down again, right? And that's that old pattern and old programming, just going all the way back to it's all your fault. And that's what I was saying. SuperNova Souls have a tendency to like carry this shame and low self-worth and really beat themselves up. And excuse me, if you put that next to the evil atrocities that are actually occurring by people, whoever these draconian, reptilian clones and, whoever is has taken over this reality, the atrocities that have been committed, it's like you can't even imagine. We can't even face it. And yet SuperNova Souls are the ones carrying the shame and grief. And it's like that shame and grief and blame, it does not fit who you are. It's not possible for you as an advanced soul to cause that level of pain. It's not within you. It's not possible for you to execute that. And still you took the blame. And have you been playing team scapegoat in every situation ever since? Well, I'll just make it about me, right? Taking on the projections, the ugliness, fine, you're going to shine your light. You're going to get some darkness thrown on you, and it's like enough of these games, right? And so this is a massive turning point. And it's all that deep hidden shame that you didn't even know you had. It doesn't even make sense and doesn't even fit who you are. But a huge message, and we talked about this in the activation too, that from the very beginning of these downloads about SuperNova Souls, that when SuperNova Souls decide to take off this karmic burden that they've been carrying, goes all the way back to Atlantean time about the misuse of your power. It's game changer. That's when we flip over the 100th monkey and we go to the other side and we start the next phase. We win when SuperNova Souls take off this karmic burden they've been carrying, which is not their own. I mean, we've all tried to do this in our personal relationships, trying to heal dynamics of other people who aren't interested in healing. Yeah. And a huge energy around this coming forward in the activation too of our karmic burden. You know, if you're a healer, then it's your job to fix it. And this was a huge message. It was like, no, Mother Nature's fixing it. The timeline's fixing it. Energy itself is fixing it. We got to get out of the way and stop blaming ourselves. We're blocking it up. So how do we do that? And that was this beautiful shift of, recognizing the shame and programming and receiving back our medicine and receiving our own medicine first for ourselves. And then knowing that we walk with that substance, that magic, that animated being that has expressed itself in this. And we can never be alone because we're working with the energies of the universe. So this is this massive shift that we're in. And that's what this next couple of months are about. The energy is a dramatic shift. We went from out there, Leo, Lionsgate, North Node, Uranus, and now it's like, ooh. So it's just know that there's a big shift and that because it's like moving into the sun, moving into Earth sign, Mars into an air sign. And now with this retrograde energy. And so it's going to feel like everything's stopping, but that's exactly what we need to adjust and recapitulate and heal and get ourselves in a place where we can really be ready to make that leap. And so pull back, just let yourself rearrange, reevaluate. This is Mercury retrograde is always about a rethinking, a reevaluating, and just let this time, let it be okay for you to heal and reevaluate, rethink through everything, and sort it out. Very, very important time for us, and to be okay with the feeling immobilized because we're not going the right way. We got to get going the right way, and then we'll move again. Okay. We got some adjustment. On the other hand, I feel like SuperNova Souls are an opportunity to feel more grounded and connected. And especially like working with that medicine, it's like, oh yeah, I can remember. The higher frequency vibrations are actually stabilizing to you. It's been much more difficult and uncomfortable in the lower vibrations in the 3D. And so we've got to claim this comfort and this peace of mind and knowing that there's a huge, massive shift happening. We're right where we need to be. We're perfectly prepared. We've done it over many lifetimes. We've just got to make some very fundamental shifts and changes. And the planets are telling us exactly what that is. So be open to the messages coming through and be okay with not going in the way you thought it was going to go. Be okay with resting and retreating. Don't put your energy into the battle right now. It's just not the time. It is a good time to practice expressing yourself and your truth with Mars and Gemini. But we've got to get out of agenda, in that whole trap we got in, that it's our job to fix it. And the energy of momentum and life force and this timeline is so powerful. It's like the vital force in the physical body that can save our life. and heal our organs, you know? And so it's like we're allowing this energy, we're getting out of the way and allowing this energy to do the fixing, the self-correcting. And how do we do that? We rest and receive our own medicine. So really powerful time. Be present with what's happening. Like I said, coming up on just about 12 hours, 11 hours from now, the exact new moon from the live, the exact new moon in Virgo, a new start, a new timeline for you as the healer and leader that you are. Time to come back into the fold and allow yourself to receive and rest and heal and be in the presence. There's a huge shift available of like, it's like we've been in between timelines and going this way and that way and trying to catch up, and just it's been so hectic. And this energy shift is, it's almost like we've crossed a threshold and the timeline adjustment is coming, and this period of time, as much as we'll be stuck not moving, there's a stability energy available, a grounded out, being able to think straight, and a peace and harmony available that we haven't been able to feel. So just try to enjoy the presence of the moment and not get too worried about any expectations around the future or the way things are supposed to go on any level. And you will have a wonderful Mercury retrograde, and know that it's all about opening to love. It's all about coming back into that divine balance within ourselves and receiving the abundance we're here to demonstrate. We know this, you know, this bigger self of you is to shine and to love. And then SuperNova Souls, if we're feeling unworthy and blocked in love and receiving, then we can never, ever do what we're here to do. See how stuck we are? We are stuck in between timelines until this is resolved. And that's this Black Moon Lilith square Chiron, the deepest wounds over where you gave your power away because of this dark programming and shame. So use this time wisely. And then the Saturn square Uranus can work for you in the changes you want to make in your life, or at that point, because we know that it's shifting and changing so fast. We can't plan. We don't know what's best for us until that moment comes. Not easy times to navigate, but it is getting more and more presence available in the moment. So take advantage of that. Get off the rat race. Get out of the time distortions, all the distractions keeping us from this amazing experience we're here to experience together. And have a wonderful weekend. And I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Catch that replay if that calls to you. Very powerful. And keep in mind, now we're starting this new chapter of preparation. If the intuitive training calls to you, remember that I'm starting that at the end of September. The empowerment skills that SuperNova Souls need to really hold their energy and presence and remove anything in the way of activation into that bigger, truer, beautiful star that you are. Thank you so much, SuperNova Souls, for going through all you've gone through, being present, a huge energy of what an incredible offering you're making by just existing in these energies and doing the work you're doing. Such a huge agenda to keep people asleep and in a simulation. And that's where we're heading. And a lot of even very spiritual people, it's been difficult to watch, where we thought our most spiritual friends, really kind of choose a different path. And so if you're going through it right now, that's because you're vigilant and because you said yes. And you said, I'm not going in the simulation. I'm going to stay awake. And it's very empowering and powerful. And the work you're doing is so intense and beautiful gift for humanity, and especially your SuperNova Soul brothers and sisters. Everything we do, like today, we got the message that the medicine we received back, our connections say to a plant or an animal that we worked with in the past, and we have this, that medicine is then available to the whole SuperNova tribe because we understand it intimately. And by receiving it back, we're allowing it to be in the field. So it's just an example of, I know your life has gone to shit and you're so confused and you feel so alone and lost, but that means you're doing it right. It's not always going to be like this. We're in between. So just be in the in between, be in the 0 point. Come, let it bring you back to the now, where we can receive the abundance of what this experience of being embodied life force in a physical form can bring. It's really quite amazing. So hang in there, SuperNova Souls. I love you so much. There's a beautiful day dawning, and you are bringing that to fruition by just being here and being present in this experience. Thank you so much. So much love to you. I look forward to seeing you soon, perhaps on that replay of activation or the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.